Anika's life looked perfect from the outside. At just 22 years old, she had recently married the man she believed was her soulmate. Born and raised in the United States, Anika grew up in a close-knit Indian-American family that valued tradition, respect, and hard work. From a young age, she dreamed of a happy life filled with love, career success, and the warmth of family. When she met her now husband, everything seemed to fall into place. They shared similar values, dreams, and a future that promised happiness. Their wedding was a grand celebration, a beautiful mix of Indian rituals and American customs, surrounded by smiling faces of friends and family who wished them well. The excitement around the wedding was overwhelming. People often said Anika looked radiant, glowing with hope and joy. She was proud to be starting a new chapter in her life, a chapter filled with love and companionship. Her family was proud too, as they watched her step into adulthood with confidence and grace. For Anika, this marriage was more than just a ceremony, it was the beginning of her dreams coming true. She believed that her husband would be her partner in every sense of the word, someone who would stand by her side through all of life's challenges. The first few days after the wedding were full of laughter and celebration. The newlywed couple enjoyed the simple pleasures of spending time together, sharing meals, and planning their future. But beneath the surface, small changes began to appear. Anika's husband started coming home late, often with vague explanations for where he had been. The warmth and attention he once showed her began to fade, replaced by distance and silence. At first, Anika tried to ignore the signs, hoping it was just stress or work pressure. She believed that love could overcome any obstacle. Despite her hopes, Anika couldn't shake the uneasy feeling growing inside her. She started noticing things that didn't add up, missed calls, secretive messages, and a strange tension in the air whenever she asked questions. Her heart ached with confusion and doubt. The person she trusted most was becoming a stranger. It was a confusing time, as she struggled to balance the excitement of her new life with the growing fear that something was wrong. Anika knew she had to be strong, but the pain was real and hard to ignore. One day, the truth hit her like a storm. Anika discovered clear evidence that shattered her world: her husband had been unfaithful. Not only was there one person, but there was more than one-side relationship hidden behind the smiles and promises. The betrayal cut deep, breaking the trust she had placed in him completely. At that moment, she felt a mix of shock, anger, and sadness. The future she had imagined now seemed like a distant dream, slipping away faster than she could grasp. Yet, even in that dark moment, something inside Anika refused to give up. She realized that this heartbreak did not have to be the end of her story. Instead of letting it destroy her, she decided she would find the strength to face the truth and take control of her life. Anika understood that her worth was not defined by someone else's actions. The journey ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to fight for her dignity and happiness. This was not just a story of betrayal, it was the beginning of a powerful transformation. After the shocking discovery of her husband's betrayal, Anika felt like her world had turned upside down. The man she had trusted completely had been living a lie. The pain was overwhelming, and for a while, she didn't know where to turn. But as the initial shock faded, a new feeling began to rise inside her, a quiet determination not to be broken by someone else's mistakes. Anika realized she needed to face the truth head-on, no matter how difficult it was. At first, she spent long nights alone, thinking about everything that had happened. She replayed moments in her mind, searching for signs she had missed. She wondered how someone could hide so much, even after promising forever. The betrayal wasn't just about infidelity, it was about trust being shattered and dreams being broken. Her heart was heavy with sadness, but beneath that sadness was a growing strength that refused to be silenced. Anika knew she couldn't deal with this pain alone. She reached out to close friends and family members who had always supported her. They listened without judgment and offered words of comfort and advice. Their support reminded her that she was not alone, and that her feelings were valid. They helped her see that she deserved honesty and respect, and that no one had the right to treat her less than she deserved. This support became a lifeline, a source of courage when everything else felt uncertain. As days passed, Anika began to rebuild her confidence. She focused on her own well-being, spending time on activities that made her feel strong and alive. She exercised, practiced mindfulness, and reconnected with her cultural traditions that always gave her peace. She started writing down her thoughts and feelings, which helped her process the storm inside. Slowly, the pain didn't seem so overwhelming anymore. It became a challenge she was ready to face, rather than something that controlled her. During this time, Anika also sought to understand why things had gone wrong. It wasn't about blaming herself or trying to fix the impossible, it was about learning and growing from the experience. She recognized that betrayal was a reflection of the other person's choices, not her worth. This realization was powerful. It gave her the clarity she needed to stop blaming herself and start focusing on her own future. Anika's resolve grew stronger with every passing day. She knew she had to make important decisions about her marriage and her life. The idea of letting go of someone she once loved was painful, but staying in a relationship built on lies was impossible. She wanted a future based on truth and respect, not fear and betrayal. This meant she had to take control and decide what was best for her, not what others expected or wanted. Her story was no longer just about heartbreak. It was becoming a story about rising above pain, finding inner strength, and choosing courage over fear. Anika's journey was a reminder that even when life breaks you, it is possible to put yourself back together, stronger than before. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to walk it with her head held high, determined to create a new beginning for herself. After weeks of struggling with heartbreak and confusion, Anika found herself standing at a crossroads. The pain of betrayal was still there, but it no longer controlled her. Instead, she felt something new, hope mixed with determination. She understood that life had dealt her a harsh blow, but she wasn't going to let it define her future. It was time to rebuild, not just her broken heart, but her entire sense of self. Anika began to focus on healing in a way she had never imagined before. She committed to taking care of herself, both physically and mentally. Every morning, she would take a walk outside, feeling the fresh air and sunlight on her face. These small moments helped her feel alive again, reminding her that life still held beauty despite the pain. She also started to meditate, learning to quiet her mind and find peace within herself. This practice gave her the strength to face difficult emotions instead of running from them. Her friends and family continued to support her, but Anika also realized she needed to stand on her own 2 feet. She started setting goals for herself that were not related to her marriage or her past. She focused on her education and career ambitions, reminding herself that she was more than her relationship. These goals became a source of motivation, pushing her to move forward each day with purpose and clarity. Anika also sought to understand herself better. She spent time reflecting on what she truly wanted from life and from a partner. She realized that respect, honesty, and loyalty were not just ideals but necessities. She vowed never to settle for less, no matter how tempting it might seem. This newfound clarity gave her the courage to let go of her husband and the life she had once imagined with him. It was painful to say goodbye, but she knew it was the right choice for her happiness and self-respect. During this time, Anika's confidence grew. She began to speak up for herself more, setting clear boundaries and refusing to accept disrespect from anyone. She learned to trust her instincts and value her own opinions. These changes didn't happen overnight, but with every step, she felt stronger and more in control of her life. She was no longer the girl who blindly believed in fairy tale love, she was becoming a woman who understood her worth and was ready to protect it. Anika's story was no longer just about betrayal and heartbreak, it was about transformation. She realized that pain, while difficult, could be a powerful teacher. It forced her to confront uncomfortable truths and pushed her to grow in ways she never expected. She started to see her experience not as a failure, but as a turning point, a moment when she chose to rise rather than fall. As the days went by, Anika's life began to change in small but important ways. She reconnected with hobbies she had forgotten and made new friends who supported her growth. She found joy in simple things again, like cooking a favorite meal or listening to music that lifted her spirit. Slowly but surely, Anika was creating a new story for herself, one built on strength, resilience, and hope. 1 week after the wedding, Anika's world was still spinning, but her resolve was clear. She had spent countless hours thinking about what to do next, knowing that her choices would shape her entire future. The pain of betrayal was still fresh, but it no longer controlled her. Instead, it fueled a determination to take control of her life and demand the respect she deserved. Anika understood that she could no longer live in the shadow of lies and deception. The weight of the betrayal pushed her to a breaking point, a moment when silence was no longer an option. She decided she would not be a victim or allow others to define her story. Anika's anger was real, but it was also a powerful force that drove her to act. She knew that sometimes justice required courage, and she was ready to face whatever consequences might come. This was no longer just about pain, it was about reclaiming her dignity and taking back control. Anika's actions shocked many who knew her. She exposed the truth about her husband's betrayal in a way that no one expected. It was a bold move, one that required careful planning and a clear mind. She gathered the evidence she had found and prepared to confront the situation head-on. There was no turning back. This confrontation was about more than just revenge, it was about standing up for herself and sending a message that betrayal would not be tolerated. The intensity of the situation escalated quickly. When Anika confronted her husband and his side chick, the reality of the situation became undeniable. What followed was a dramatic turning point that stunned everyone involved. The confrontation ended in tragedy, marking a moment that changed everything. While the details were shocking, what stood out most was Anika's refusal to be broken. She faced the darkest moment with strength and clarity, even when the consequences were unimaginable. After the event, Anika's life entered a new and difficult chapter. The story of what happened spread rapidly, drawing attention and sparking heated debates. Some people judged her harshly, unable to understand the pain and betrayal that led her to such drastic actions. Others saw her as a symbol of courage, a young woman who refused to be silenced or controlled by a cheating partner. Through it all, Anika remained focused on her own truth, knowing that her actions were born from a place of deep hurt and a desire for justice. Despite the chaos and challenges, Anika found moments of peace within herself. She refused to let the tragedy define her entire life. Instead, she used her experience to learn, grow, and inspire others. Her story became a powerful reminder that sometimes, standing up for yourself requires unimaginable bravery. It showed that even in the darkest times, people can find strength they didn't know they had. Anika's journey was far from over. She faced many obstacles ahead, but she no longer walked alone. With the support of her family and friends, and the inner strength she had discovered, she began to rebuild her life. The road was difficult, but Anika was ready to face it with courage, knowing that her future was hers to shape. Her story was a testament to resilience, justice, and the power of choosing oneself, no matter the cost. After everything that had happened, Anika knew her life would never be the same. The events of that week had changed her in ways she could never have imagined. There was a deep scar left behind, but also a powerful strength she had discovered within herself. The journey ahead was not easy, but Anika was determined to live on her own terms and create a future that reflected who she truly was. In the weeks and months that followed, Anika began to rebuild her life piece by piece. She found support in her family and friends, who never stopped believing in her. Their love reminded her that she was not alone, and that no matter how dark the past had been, the future could still hold light and hope. Anika leaned on this support as she worked to heal both her heart and mind. One of the most important things Anika learned was how to forgive, not to excuse what had happened, but to free herself from the weight of anger and pain. Forgiveness was not easy, but it allowed her to move forward without being held back by bitterness. She understood that forgiveness was a gift she gave to herself, a way to find peace in the midst of chaos. This new mindset helped her see her story as one of growth, rather than just tragedy. Anika also began to focus on her own dreams and goals once again. She returned to her studies and found strength in pursuing a career that she was passionate about. Her experience taught her the value of independence and self-respect, and she vowed never to compromise on those again. Each day was a step toward the life she wanted, a life built on honesty, courage, and hope. Her story spread far beyond her community, inspiring many who had faced similar struggles. People admired her bravery and resilience, seeing her as a symbol of strength. Anika's journey reminded others that even in the darkest times, it is possible to rise, to heal, and to find happiness again. Her experience became a source of hope for those who thought they had nowhere to turn. Anika never forgot the pain she had endured, but she refused to be defined by it. Instead, she used her story to speak out about the importance of self-worth and standing up against betrayal. She became an advocate for honesty in relationships and a voice for those who felt powerless. Through her courage, she helped others find their own strength and inspired a movement toward greater awareness and respect. As Anika looked toward the future, she knew there would still be challenges, but she was ready for them. She had learned that life is unpredictable, and sometimes painful, but it is also full of possibility. With every step, she was writing a new chapter, one filled with hope, resilience, and the promise of better days ahead. Anika's story was no longer just about a tragedy, it was a testament to the power of rising from the ashes and creating a life worth living.